All right. Well, hold on. Let me get something else to drink.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Oh my God. Dress my neck here.
Anybody need a potty break?
I'm good.
I'm good, surprisingly. I'm actually good.
I'm still on the toilet.
You
Nice.
Hey, look, at least you don't have to. You can go, but you don't have to go. See?
No, just hanging out, just in case.
It's the potty cast.
Yes.
Tarr, I like your shirt, man.
Oh, okay.
You
cool?
Roman.
I do have that. We don't have the capability to do it, but I do have an HD or high def 4K 3D version of Robot Monster here.
Oh, we gotta watch that.
I don't. I can't. I don't have anything to.
You don't have
To do.
any
It
3D?
has like 3 different versions of it.
Oh.
I can only like watch one of them because I don't have the.
Oh, I definitely want to see that in 3D. It is so
tech
bad,
to
but
do
it'll
it.
be like bubbles. It'll be all the. I want to see the bubbles in 3D. So,
Oh, I'll bring a bubble gun. How
that's
about
right. All right. Here we go.
What's up, you metal maniacs, horror freaks? This is Deb from Lady Beast, and you're listening to Metal and Horror Podcast. Hope you enjoy it.
I am Montag, master of illusion. What goes up must come down, but not always. And you are watching and listening to heavy metal horror. Oh, kiddies, welcome back for part 2 of our discussion of Godzilla. Yes, Dr. Tarr wanted to talk a little bit about Nick Adams.
Nick Adams!
As Akira Takarada called him, Horny Nick. Yes, Horny Nick.
Horny?
So Tarr, what about Nick
no,
Adams?
I just he was like these movies are probably the ones that pulled me in really into the Godzilla. I saw the first one, and that was cool. But it's probably these that kind of started this, and Gargant kind of pulled in. I started watching more Toho stuff. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. And this one I thought this one just kind of hit all the buttons for me, spacemen, ray guns, rocket ships, it was cool. Giant monsters, it had everything. And even the space guys, their suits, their uniforms were kind of cool. their little genie shoes that they had to look.
It almost reminds me of Devo for some reason, I mean.
Oh yeah, well, it's the glasses.
Yeah, right. That's like, whoa, wow, that's kind of reminds and that's before I see this film.
But I like the design, the computer, their whole computer system and stuff like that. Although that big ass screen behind him doesn't make sense, but whatever.
Gotta see behind you.
Board.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a communal TV, so just.
We had talked about this movie in the last episode a little bit. This is Fuad's one of his comfort movies, Ibra, Horror of the Deep.
Yes.
So, what is it that you like so much about Ibra that you find comfort?
It has that. Okay, so it starts off. It has that great surfer vibe music going on, and then, the feel of it, the color of it, and I would love to live on the ocean, so of course I like that they're on a boat. I would love that boat, to be honest, and I love the fact that the guy just knows how to use it. But whatever.
Oh, the cat burglar guy.
Well, no, cat burglar guy was just hiding.
Oh no, the other guy.
No, the guy who's looking for his brother. That's what
looking for his brother.
The fisherman. Okay.
Yeah, what did he go missing in a storm or something?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And no, I don't know. This is one of those ones I just remember watching like 1,000 times.
Yeah, because they showed it this was one that they showed all the time. I think of all the Godzilla movies, this seemed to pop up a lot. But, it's a fun movie. I really like that initial scene where you see the claw come up. I think that is done so well, and that the boat itself, or the model work for the sailboat right there. That's just a cool little scene, I think.
No, I think that scene. That's when the two guys run off, and they're like, "No, just wait." Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
And they say a lot, and that's one of my favorite uses of dummies, because when the claw picks them up, if you watch these little dummies,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
like fall
Yeah,
out of
well,
the boat,
yeah.
then he stabs one, or he stabs
Right.
both of them.
He said,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and picks them up on his little finger.
I know.
Oh, with these little
Gobbles them up.
It's like,
Yeah.
damn. So
That's a
that
great-
means his eyesight's pretty darn good
That's
for
right.
him to be doing that.
He's very
I could've
dexterous.
swore-
He's the most dexterous lobster there is. Right?
Yes, and I always
Great.
thought when
What's
he
his
would eat them,
superpower?
he made,
His
like,
sight.
yum yum sounds, because he's like.
I liked all that stuff. It was just had the spy stuff going on.
He's gonna make human
espionage.
bisque.
Yes.
Well, like in the the yellow liquid that they're supposed
Yeah.
to be grinding up
Yeah,
that
made
kind
out
of
of the fruit.
controls him. Yeah.
Mhm.
That one's the one where they find the random machete and like make a
Yes.
they
A
wake
lightning
Godzilla up.
Right.
Make a
Let's
little-
stab this in his eye and try to have the lightning hit him.
hit him
No,
with
yeah,
the
they-
Yeah,
lightning.
well, yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, that's all
Yeah.
supposed to be King Kong. And it was
I had no idea that was supposed to be King Kong, but it all makes sense. Like all those things, because
it
I was wondering, like,
written for King Kong.
there's
but
no
then
other
they
thing
dropped-
where electricity wakes up King Kong or Godzilla. Like, what is going on? Yes.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
that and his hesitation to get in the water and his and the girl interest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All
it,
yeah.
it was all fashioned for Kong, but then they kind of rewrote it quick and
Well,
made it
because
a
Yeah,
Godzilla
because there is
movie.
that scene when the attack planes, the girl's like out in like a, I don't know, she's like in a rocky outcrop, and Godzilla's like
Yeah.
just sitting there scratching his nose,
Mhm.
and then those planes attack him,
okay.
and he kind of looks at her, but there's nothing else more than that, really.
Yeah, you don't do anything for me. So
Look, I love the moment where now he's sitting down, he's sleeping, and that big
This one's
condor bird asshole comes around, and she sees it, and I don't know why I didn't see it previously when I first saw it, but when I saw it on DVD. She actually looks at Godzilla thinking like he's gonna attack, but he's asleep, and she's like, it's like
Wake
there's a
up.
bird coming. I was like, really? I mean, now you want him to, help out? It's like, make your mind up.
That's one of my favorite fights too, because it's just a bird being a dick, just flapping its wings in his face, and then
giant
like
pigeon.
yeah, giant pigeon, and then he just vaporizes it, and it just crash land. It kind of reminded me of like the giant claw bird.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
was it the same prop?
the giant claw. Oh god, I love that movie.
Yes.
That is one of the worst, best movies of all time.
But this also had one of my
that
favorite
would be ripe
fights.
for a remake, and you can make it kind of
Oh,
cool
yeah.
too if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
I like the giant claw.
No, but
What-
I really liked the underwater scenes when Ibra and him are fighting. Well, first they have a little like badminton match with the rocks.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, then they do the whole underwater bit, and then he rips his arm off, rips both of them off, I think.
Yeah, he rips both of them off.
And he's playing with the one.
He should have.
Snapping
He
it
should
at
have
him.
like blew his atomic breath in the water, boiled him right there.
He could have done
You
that
know.
right at the beginning, but he never did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
could
he had
have
to do
boiled
all
him
this
right
other
there
shit.
and then break out the butter. You know?
Ah,
Yeah,
fuck
I was
you.
gonna say, yes.
Could you imagine how delicious he would taste?
Hey,
I
with good,
bet.
like you said, good salt and pepper.
I
just-
need
you
some
just-
butter
Oh my God.
sauce.
Mm.
That's right.
You need tons of butter now. That's what I gotta
Well,
say.
speaking of tongues to
God.
butter, 1967, Son of Godzilla comes out.
Ah, yes.
Ba-doom, boom, boom. Ba-doom,
Yep.
boom, boom. Son of
I
Godzilla.
like this one.
This is
like
where we
this.
get introduced to the Kamakris. We get introduced to the Spyga. We get introduced to Minya. And I think has one of the best sets of all the movies. This is one of those ones where I know it's a set, but there's something very comforting in seeing
Yeah.
this. But it's a really beautiful set. I love, and it's got Akira.
And it's not
Akira
very
Fubo.
much, but it's well used. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
Very much. And like it looks very inviting for some reason. Like the lagoon the girl is hiding in, and I'm like, oh, that looks fun.
well,
I
that
want-
and that music. It was just like one
Yes.
big adventure thing. It was like you got vested into it through the music. It was just kind
I
of cool.
think this is one of Sato's better scores for a Godzilla film.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think so.
I just remember it I loved it, but I always remember it made me feel really hot because you remember how there's the drought or whatever was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I
It's
just remember
atomic
like all the
satellite.
actors look like they're completely soaked.
Yeah, they're on in the tropical island. You know, all the heat and sweat. Yeah, they look like it's sweaty and hot, and
It's just like,
yeah. And I like how they're going to send him out to find dinner because he ruined dinner. You know, with the washing and the soup or whatever it was. You know, There's some good humor in this as well. You know, Godzilla. This is probably the ugliest the suit is of all of them. I mean, this suit, it's like he's been beat up. Like his face just doesn't even
Well,
look.
you keep telling me there's different Godzillas, so.
Well, this one was this one looked real derpy. Yeah.
You know what? But you know, at the very beginning when you first see
squished
him,
face
or her or whatever he is, the very first time when you see him up in the water when the plane almost hits him, he looks kind of good there, kind of scary.
He's wet, yeah.
But since everything else is like daylight,
he's got a real long neck. You know, it looks very different in this one. Goofy.
They're trying to make him taller than
than Minya, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
but the thing is, but this one is also, and there's a lot of just funny stuff like with Minya, you know, with Gonzuki, as some people know him.
Yes, from the cartoon. Yeah, Minya. When you first see him, it looks like a turd with a little bit of legs. You know, he's
pretty,
like pretty ugly looking.
Striking how goofy he looks.
Yeah,
he just,
awkward how he moves.
I just remember the one where they're like the giant mantis like throws a rock and it smacks him in the face.
Spins around.
Like classic.
Yeah,
but I remember
as much as I say all that, I love this movie. I really like this movie a lot.
When the mantis were out at night, like their eyes
glow.
Creepy.
Yes,
it's creepy. It looked cool.
Knowing that these giant praying mantises are out there and they will fuck you up, man. Because they would totally kill those guys, man. Those praying mantises.
And then when they showed them really big after the atomic rain or whatever it was, you know, and they grow bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're at that one tower station or wherever, and they play that music where they're like scuttling by, and he's like hiding behind the tower. You know, that music and that image. That was pretty cool. That was really cool. That I can't. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The music that they had played. You can hear it.
Yeah, no, that's good.
The giant gross spider shows up.
Yeah, Spiga.
Yep,
that's right.
That was well done. You know, I'm sure this didn't have.
I'm gonna vomit all over you, kid.
And the big claw coming in at him. I'm gonna poke you.
Yeah.
But I have to say, this is probably one of the most use of wire work at the time for
because
you got like I say, you got Spiga, you got the mantis, you know, and
right.
Like that's a lot of work. I mean, I got to give it to the
a lot of wires there. But
it was
the spider itself was done well.
Yeah, a lot of people moving those legs,
and it looked creepy. I thought it looked kind of creepy.
It's really effective. Yeah. Yes. And speaking of, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
I was gonna say, I just remember after I think Godzilla puts him down by just hitting him with the fire, right? With the radioactive beam.
Well, it's both him and his son.
Yeah. Right after that, when it starts snowing and they're just holding each other, I always felt real bad. It's so sad.
Yeah. Can I just say that's got to be one of the more emotional moments there?
I know, right?
Godzilla's about to leave. He's trying to leave because he doesn't want to get hibernated. But when I watched this, and just me and my personal effect about this, I had a kind of distinct from my father and everything. But when I see this, it's like this is such an embrace of how a father is supposed to do with their child. Embrace and to protect them. And then I just say, I always get now. I'm a little older. I get kind of missy watching that because it's like that is such an effective moment right there.
It's great. It's just like I'll be here for you, and they go to sleep until they wake up, and they know that. Yeah, so
and when they wake up, they are on Monster Island in 1968's Destroy All Monster.
Yeah,
that's a smooth transition.
Segue.
Yes. I love Destroy All Monsters. It's hard not to say it's not my favorite, but I mean, my heart is still with maybe King Kong versus Godzilla, but I love Destroy All Monsters because of all the monster action. There was like so many monsters. Uh, this was like has everybody. And I love the aliens. I loved all the aspects of this movie. Yeah, just I love the score. The score is fantastic with the Great March. I love the rocket ship, the look of it.
I wish they would have used Baragon when they said they were going to use Baragon, but
I know, right?
Yeah, we get
You could
introduced
call
to a
it
ton of
Baragon.
monsters. Well, we got Manda. We've seen Manda from Atragon. We get
Not the
introduced
same
to
Manda though.
yeah. We got Gorosaurus. We got King Ghidorah is back. We get Varan we get Spiga. We get a Kamacuras, I believe. We get Anguillus and Minya, right? I think
Yeah,
did I get them all? I think it's
Rodan.
So
yeah, Rodan as well.
Rodan, yeah. Oh, and you
Yeah.
did say Gorosaurus, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is the
Yeah.
Avengers before the Avengers were, hooked up and everything.
King Caesar wasn't in that one, was he?
No,
No,
he comes in a
okay.
Megalon.
It would have been
Okay.
cool if he was, but no. You think is that what's the other one?
That was Final
It
Wars.
was like Destroy All Monsters, but
I could say Final
what's the
Wars.
Final Wars, yes.
Final
Yeah.
Wars, yeah.
Yeah, that one's painful.
So
It is.
other people say that too, but
Yeah,
It's
it's
extremely
hard,
painful.
man. It's hard to watch. Like they just
I
do,
wanted to like it, but
yeah, they just do try to do too many things, and they
Yep.
just go way too long on this mutant storyline, and just it's like should have been
shut
streamlined.
up.
And
Yeah,
the truth
give me
about
more
Quit your
monsters,
whining.
goddamn it! It's a 2.5 hour movie. Give me monsters.
Instead
And
of like these 2-second battles. Like, wait,
yeah,
what happened?
yeah, it was like all at the end, like here it is. You already lost interest, but now here's all the fights we did, and it's like it's not enough. It's
Mm-mm.
just it's like no, I want to see it spread throughout the movie.
I did like the
I want
little
to see this
scene
menace.
with Godzilla versus Atragon. I thought that was pretty cool.
With
I mean, it had some really cool ideas, but yeah, you're right. It
Yeah.
just was not put together. They
not
tried
good.
too much,
Right, they tried to make it Destroy All Monsters. That's what they're really trying to do.
which they could have, but
They
yeah,
could have. I mean, there were elements of it in the movie, but
they even put Gorath in there with the fake
name, really,
Mhm. yeah,
I think what it was is because you see that's one thing I can appreciate the films of the Showa era. They were short and to the point. Where when you get into years later into the millennium, they got to drag certain things out. The element is like,
Oh yeah.
we get the philosophical, we get the theologian, we get all that, but it's like don't.
Which I don't mind if they do it well, but
yes, exactly.
most of the time they don't do it well, and it just becomes
Well, like,
painful.
yeah, I mean, everything after Godzilla 84 just seemed like it dragged to me.
Even it.
the Heisei is a much different era. It's
Yeah,
a much
it's
different
just
feel.
it's like that whole
Which one's Mecha
Biolante
Godzilla with
and-
the? I'm sorry.
No, it's just I love those movies and I love the monsters, but later, like you said, later on they just started being really like, okay, I'm trying to keep focused.
And
I mean, they were competing with TV.
The fights were just like
so.
the monsters are standing apart and like blasting each other with beams. It
Yeah.
was the physicality was lost in the Heisei series to a large degree. It's hard to wrestle against Biolante.
Maybe because it's just for a different generation. I mean, maybe because I look at it this way. Maybe we're more simple when it comes to these kind of films in terms of like we want to see some fighting, we want to see some monsters beat the hell out of you and like get to the point. I guess here for these generations, it's like, let's just think about this. I mean, I'm like, people, this is not RoboCop. This is not Total Recall. Yes, these are thinking person's films, but they got action. They got kick-ass moments. It's like, get to the damn point, okay?
Right?
Yes. That's what you're gonna get. That's right. It's like All Monsters Attack is 1969 is the shortest of the Godzilla movies, otherwise known as Godzilla, Godzilla's Revenge.
And no one likes this one either.
This is an 8-year-old fantasy. I loved this as a kid because it introduced me to Gabra, who scared me. I always thought it was a very scary thing, and I wanted to be there because I wanted Ninya to be my friend so he could introduce me to Godzilla and make him my friend too. You know, I mean,
Well,
that's
but yeah,
that's
and
exactly
Godzilla's just all a
yeah,
fantasy in this movie anyway, and it's
right.
just and
Yeah,
that's why I liked it. It's probably one of the more realistic of the Godzilla movies, I think. You know, he's always alone. His parents are always working. You
yeah.
know, so he has this whole fantasy. You know,
Yeah, I mean, I can
I
relate to it
kind of
because
like it.
I was kind of the same way. I was what you call a latchkey, child growing up. I mean, because my mom and both my mom and father they were separated, and but my mom had to work and do things to make sure that her kids were taken care of. And like I said, I can associate with the kid, because at least his imagination. And me personally, I got such a big imagination. I mean, I can dream into something that I want to be a part of that will keep me away from reality because we know reality sucks. So, but no, I mean, it's not
What?
the best of it's not the best of the Godzilla's Showa films, but to me,
Oh
it
no.
like helps me to like say you can get fantasy to get you out of reality, and
Right.
for me, it was a perfect.
I can sympathize with the storyline when I was little. As goofy as it was, and yeah, and I got to hear the two different. There was a march in the original Japanese one.
Yes,
The American one, what was that music?
I
Uh,
don't. That's a good question. I don't
do you know
know.
what I mean? The
Yeah.
American version, they played that music, and I loved that. You know, it's like this jazzy
Mm-hmm.
music going on that with the
You're right
monster
though.
roars or something. Yeah, it's something goofy.
This was the first one that solidified that I could be friends with Godzilla.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, yeah,
You want to talk
science.
to my kid? Yeah.
So being able, my whole thought process of wanting to grow up to be Godzilla, I was like, well, I can be his friend first,
Right. Yeah.
and that'll help. He'll teach me how to be Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know.
I just,
Crap
I
out
just
of
got to grow a
somebody.
little more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a
But
lot
then,
of stock footage in this
Yes.
movie. There's
yeah,
very few new scenes, but
except for Gabra.
again, Gabra and stuff like that, and some scenes with Minya when Godzilla stomps on his tail and gets him to breathe fire,
Mhm.
those kinds of things. So he's still kind of a mean dad, but yeah, I you just have to go into this
Picks
movie
out these
knowing
little
it's
islands to
if
hide
you're
him on. You know?
when you're a kid and you enjoy this, if you still enjoy these movies like you were a kid, you'll have no problem.
Oh,
This
it's
is
definitely a
this
kids
is
movie.
not
Yeah.
a movie to be analyzed like Shin Godzilla or something like that. It's a different one. But moving on to 1971, we have Godzilla versus Hedorah, or Hedorah, the smog monster. I think
Oh,
probably with the as far as the look of the film, definitely the gloomiest, darkest of
mhm.
all the Godzilla films.
Smoggiest.
And
Yeah,
psychedelic one
Smoggiest?
too.
yeah, and
Was it the
psychedelic. Yeah,
smoggiest?
that Save the Earth song. I love that song. That guitar riff is just wanging. Um,
Mhm.
They're using
yeah,
Montag psychedelic mushrooms.
but the music is weird, and this is a dark film. I mean, there's a
It
lot. I
is
mean, it's
actually.
physically dark, but just the concept because they're dealing with pollution. But
And some of the
yeah,
way it's presented, though, too, is kind of
yeah, that
just odd.
weird cartoon in the middle of the song. Like the kids singing and like drawing this like weird cartoon. I'm like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
yeah,
This is where the
Whatever.
paradigm shift was saying, okay, we're moving into more childlike themes here. I mean, even though we
Oh,
still
yeah.
got a theme of what's going on, but it's like, yeah, we're digging we're digging in
yeah.
with the
Kids are
kids.
becoming
What
more prominent in the storyline, like the Gamera movies.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
what
always
year was
felt that
this?
Erbera was the laziest looking monster. Like, he's made out of garbage bags and some googly eyes. Yeah, I mean,
Nah,
he never.
you're
I
not
love
wrong
it.
though.
I
I
know, but
mean, it
I
was.
like the way it looked.
Oh, I love it, but I
I
do
have
love
no
it.
complaints about it.
But it was just like, man, okay.
And I like the idea that he was just like sentient mud, basically.
Trash and mud
It
and gunk and
yeah, and he's a
pollution.
shapeshifter. He kind of changes forms. You got
Yes.
the flying like
Yeah.
disc
Bad
tadpole.
bowl.
You
And
know,
that whole scene where he flies through that building, the
Yes.
skeletal,
yeah,
of the building.
Yep.
yes, and like he just shoots mud everywhere.
Oh, now I'm
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
dirty.
Acidic mud.
exactly. Yeah, he flies over people and they all die.
Yeah.
But that whole scene,
Gases
what was
them.
that whole scene where they're playing, what was it?
cards. Or,
pachinko or poker or whatever they were
Yeah.
playing. You know, and the big glob
And that
comes
big
in. The
glob.
next thing you see, they're all dead with
Mhm.
their.
it's like,
Yep.
oh,
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
care about these characters. They're just side characters. It's like they're
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
dead.
They're,
Just show
fine.
it's
them
It's
nothing.
back.
It's just let's show their death, though. Horrible
Yeah.
They're just
death.
NPCs. Don't worry about it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I do. I like the movie. I love the look of Hydra. It's just the goofy monster. The sound is really kind of creepy.
Mhm.
It just, but it has a look every bit as much as Destroy All
Save the
Monsters'
Earth.
look. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's a dark, dingy, you know, smoggy looking
Polluted.
film. But yeah. Moving right along in our list of Showa films, 1972, Godzilla versus Gigan, where we are introduced to the hook horror known as Gigan.
Yes.
I
Oh.
think this might be one of the laziest ones.
Gigan was a fantastic costume, though. I love the
Giant
look
hooks
of
and a
Gigan.
buzzsaw.
Yeah, and a laser eye and a beak.
What do
and
kids
mandibles.
like? Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Claws,
and
yeah, claws,
scales
claws.
and
Hooks and a
feathers for some
saw.
reason.
Like, hero, you know. It's like,
Things they're not allowed to play with. That's what they like.
well, yeah.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, no man. Gigan, I just always thought was cool. He's the cool dude because he has the shades on, you know.
Yes, exactly.
Like Racer X.
He did.
Yes.
Yeah, he was also, yeah. Before I even saw that movie, I was always expecting him to shoot a laser out of that. All the like promo pictures show him shooting
yeah.
this laser out. It's like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
No,
They
they're just
he never did
T-shades.
though. That's crazy. Yeah.
They're just keeping
Yeah,
the
really,
sun
because
out of his
after that, he's not much of a monster. He gets his ass kicked and just.
No, I mean he's a robot, isn't he?
He's
Yeah,
a
he's a
cyborg. Yeah,
Cyborg.
he's got weak joints in
At
his
least that's
arms.
what
They
they
bend
say.
over too easily. You know, those hooks just grab on things.
Yeah,
Not
they're
flexible.
not bladed or anything. That'd be mean.
Well, he did get a chainsaw improvement in
Yeah.
Final Wars.
In the Final Wars.
Yeah,
That-
the
what you mean
upgrade.
that was. I'm sorry, but
No.
that upgrade with the chain, I'm like, I didn't.
It wasn't necessary. There's so
Yeah.
much of that movie is not necessary.
Now, is this the one with the cockroach people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cockroaches.
I love
Your
the
worst
Yeah, they turn
enemy.
into cockroaches at the end.
And he,
Oh, I
well,
love
yeah,
that.
there's another chance you could have shown some creepy cockroach stuff, but I don't
No,
know.
I
No,
just love that.
They didn't.
You just
They
see
weren't
a
putting any
shadow
money in.
or
The
whatever.
money wasn't there. That's why these sets. A lot of fights are at night
Yeah.
on a, so they don't have to light it, and you can get away with a lot
Guerrilla
of stuff.
shooting.
You
Yeah.
got to remember, this is at a time when Toho and really the Toho, the Japanese industry and the film industry at that time, the budgets on films were kind of like not as
that-
robust as in the 60s or 50s, So,
right.
Mm.
but hey, you do what you can.
Yeah. Yeah, these early 70s ones like Hydra and Gigan. Gigans are all my lesser favorite ones. Although I like the Godzilla Tower.
Yes.
It's just, and I like the characters, that one guy who's eating corn all the time, it's kind of, there's a little bit of humor. But I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. It's not like a go-to, for
No,
me.
I agree, but I just liked the uniqueness of the monster of Gigan.
Oh yeah,
That was
yeah,
one
I
thing
get
that-
that.
That I was like, oh, he's new and different,
Yeah.
Mhm.
We also see King Ghidorah, come back again. Right.
Pretty shoddy,
And,
but yeah.
Yes, he's all
very.
beat up. Yeah. But in
What do you
19
expect after fighting Godzilla how many times?
That's right.
Godzilla.
1973, we come back with Godzilla versus Megalon, which introduces us to the Seatopians and their togas, and then Megalon.
Richard Dunham.
Yes.
Yeah, Megalon and the return of Gigan.
He does
and-
not look
and-
good in go-go
And we
boots,
also
by
get
way.
the Ultraman ripoff with Jet Jaguar.
Yeah, what?
and,
Yeah.
Yes.
Jaguar.
Which I loved as a kid. I mean, I loved this movie. I mean, it's cheap, cheap looking. It's silly at times,
Gets right to the point, and
It does.
yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of love it about that. It's like there's a lot of monster action, a lot of fighting. Like the last 20 minutes is is a big, long, protracted fight kind of thing.
Right.
It may not be that much, but it's just, and there's just a lot of monster action.
I couldn't
throughout.
help but think, how useless is Jet Jaguar?
Well, when he gets blown out of the sky by Megalon, I was like, dude, why y'all hurting this guy? It's like,
All he does is get big and can translate between humans and the monsters.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He
I
throws
mean, I
some
like
karate
him. Don't
chops
get
in
me
there.
wrong. He's kind of cool, but And
He's
by
not.
the
He's
way,
no
how
giant
does he
robo.
get big and big? How does he get big?
Right. We
I
don't know.
look.
always
I had a
liked the-
theory. I had a theory
He's-
about this, and this is what's crazy. I know this is kind of far fetched, but this is where I say logic versus
Oh,
real logic.
no worse than
I-
what?
I feel like technology is the reason why he's able to grow. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh, okay, all right, that'll work. I'll go.
Was
with
he
that.
made any kind of foreign materials, any kind of space metal or
never
anything like
said.
that?
No, they never say.
Okay.
Oh, but the Seatopians wanted it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're stupid.
Yes.
They were wearing
Yeah.
They would be fine with
um,
some. Give them some shorts. Give them some Dockers, or some cargo shorts. They'll be happy.
And give him one of those porpoise-driven
chariots.
lake boats the kid was
Yes.
building. Just,
A
this is
porpoise-driven
my-
chariot.
This is my first iteration with Godzilla as far as film, and this is why I say it still holds up as my favorite Godzilla film. But that being said, as an adult, I know that there's so many flaws in this film that
oh my
I
god!
can't
Yes, but
begin with.
I get it. Yeah,
Yes.
it's so goofy.
Yeah,
I
but
always
it's
loved
okay.
the Megalodon suit.
I know
The
that's
Yeah.
that's what I
Megalodon
love
suit.
about all this stuff.
Yeah, Megalon is a great looking cockroach.
Yeah, he
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to see him come back in a real way sometime. I thought,
Mm.
kind of
Well,
all
they've been
floppy.
making those little shorts lately. Have you seen those?
No.
Oh, they do these animated shorts of like Godzilla.
Oh,
like,
yes, you mean those?
reintroducing like
Yes.
Gigan and Megalon and
Nice.
Hedorah.
It's supposed to be
Yeah.
celebrating Godzilla's birthday and everything, and that's
Yeah, and they're just like little fights that you'd want to see or something like that.
Nice.
Ooh, I didn't know. That's cool. I'll
Yeah.
have to check it out. Now we're getting into the last two movies of the Showa era. 1974, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And where we are introduced to Mechagodzilla through a very sneakily introduction. And we're also introduced to a lovely god by the name of, anyone help?
King Seesaw.
King Caesar, yes, who's like this very cool lion. Yes, and we get the song, right? Caesar. I really like Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. This I think is the best looking Mechagodzilla of all of them.
Yes.
There's so many weapons.
And that snazzy
that he has.
music that they
Yeah,
had.
dun dun dun, dun, the real heavy percussion.
And even his toes had cannons and missiles, and it was
Yeah, there was like weapons
Everything was a
everywhere.
missile.
Like rockets and laser beams, and it was like, just like wow.
bristling with firearms. Yes.
Yeah, they're just like, wow, this is like the most potent foe that Godzilla has ever, faced. That's how I felt about this when I first saw. Like, wow, this is a really powerful monster. Like, I don't know how Godzilla's gonna beat this one.
Yes.
Yeah, just absolutely love this.
The
movie.
gorilla men though too were pretty cool.
Right.
The ape guys, yeah.
Planet of the
They,
Apes.
they were kind of creepy though too. Like when that one guy got injured, and like half his face was gorilla and the other half.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's kind of weird. And he was still making that gruddles.
Yes.
But after that, though, some of the masks were, what am I? It's like the King Kong syndrome right there.
Yeah.
Why can't you guys make an ape mask?
Well, it was on the
It's-
popularity of by then, the Planet of the Apes. They were certainly, and there was that Japanese movie Time of the Apes.
Yes, and those were bad ape masks too.
Yeah,
It's
horrible.
Like, what is it with you
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah.
They were a little. Actually, they looked a little. Well, no, I can't say that.
You say they were better, or
No, I was about right. I was like, no, I can't.
No, but the money was spent in. We got, the King Caesar, which is a pretty cool looking outfit.
Yeah.
Costume.
Very alert.
Yeah, and
Yes.
Mechagodzilla, and all the pyrotechnics and stuff. I mean, it's such an impressive display.
I liked King Seesaw's reflective. The introduction of that, his little reflective power.
Yes, when
I thought that was kinda
Godzilla shoots his lasers at him, and he just flexing his eyes, they
Like,
shoot it right back at
Catches
you.
it back. Yeah.
bastard.
They should use that a little more. I feel like
Yeah, well, I guess the budget was not there. Maybe that's
what do I know?
Yeah, they weren't putting a lot of money into the movies, and that's why Everything had kind of moved to an outdoor. All the fights are outdoors. It's a lot easier to stage with like a sky and some mountains and some trees than like building buildings and models that would get demolished.
And they did it
Right.
okay. They did. I liked when he was like chasing Seesaw around, and it's like those little hills. It's like
Mhm.
slicing off the top of these
Mm-hmm.
hills
Yeah.
with his little laser, and they're sliding off. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, they were able to do some nice things with it, but that's why they moved outside. It was a lot cheaper. As you know, you see with like every common writer and those kind of movies, like all the fights are like in quarries, where they could like blow stuff up and it wouldn't matter.
To the slag heap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just love this movie. It's like one of my favorite of the whole series. And this last movie in the Showa era, 1975, The Terror of Mechagodzilla. And it wasn't until I was well into my 20s that I saw this for the first time. It was like it was on some local channel or something like that, and I was at someone else's house, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this movie. I'm gonna try and watch this movie. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on Terror of Mechagodzilla? We are introduced to Titanosaurus with the big fan. Baby's got fan. Thoughts? Fuad, Terror of Mechagodzilla?
Yeah, I was like,
I vaguely remember this one.
really?
Yeah, what was the other monster?
It was Titanosaurus,
Titanosaurus.
and then Mechagodzilla returns.
Mhm.
It's like a new version of Mechagodzilla.
And Godzilla
And Godzilla, yeah.
Was Godzilla in it?
Yeah. Surprisingly, he is in it, and this is the introduction of.
No, I don't. I mean, I remember the name, but I just can't remember this one.
Okay, do you remember Tomoko Ai, the actress in there?
Mm-mm.
Don't remember. Wow.
It's
Well,
weird. This was just like a memory that got erased.
Well, I can tell you right now, when you see it later, years later, I vaguely remember that the blouse that she's wearing is very see-through when you see it on Blu-ray. I mean, you see her bra, and I'm just like, good
Isn't
God,
this
y'all
the
couldn't-
only one that they showed her boobs? Because
yes.
they're like, she's
later.
an android.
But
They were
She's-
fake.
She's
but they were,
right. She's an android, right? And then so you see her, they're repairing her, and you can see her like android boobs, right?
Yes.
sex
Yeah.
bot.
It was like,
Yeah, I would have definitely remembered that.
Well,
Yeah.
well, of course they took that
Well,
out.
They
that
had
wasn't
cut that
in
out.
the American cut, but all right.
Yeah, they cut that out.
Hmm.
It wasn't until like later, much later, when I finally got a real cut of
I
that.
know.
I'm like,
It's
oh,
like-
okay. Here's the scene, just like the one with Anguillus getting
Well, you know what makes
buzzsawed.
more sense too. It was just anyway.
Yeah. But Terror of Mechagodzilla, yeah. Titanosaurus is kind of this orange, bumpy looking creature, orange and brown or reddish,
Mhm.
maroon and orange. And he's got a big fan
Very
tail,
beautiful.
and that's his primary weapon. He lives under the ocean too, but he uses his tail like a fan, and
Okay.
it has the same effect of like Rodan, blowing
Yes,
things
okay.
over and things like that. It's very similar.
He
to that.
doesn't have no major powers, but he uses the ability of his own body to create these windstorms. So it's like,
That
Okay.
Yeah.
swims
Yeah.
super fast.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but
With a tail like that.
yeah, it's not one of my favorites. I think I think they kind of when had been on a tear, they were doing a movie a year, and this one is not one of my favorites. But you have another protagonist who, in a way, this is like a very personal kind of movie because it's the doctor who's really trying to like keep the memory of his daughter alive, right?
Yeah.
And because
trying to
he was
control-
shunned by the scientific
Shunned by the
community.
scientific community, so it's a
It's
very
like,
personal.
come on, you self-absorbed asshole.
I'll destroy the world for sure.
I'll destroy your son
Mhm.
with a giant dinosaur. Fuck you. Yeah, just
Yes, he becomes obsessed, and then he's like, "Dude, you don't realize you're losing your only daughter because of your obsession, you dumbass. Come on now."
And he did.
Mhm.
So there.
Yes. Well, the two main actors were at G-Fest. I think the last time I was there, actually, one of the last times I was there.
Yeah,
And they were awesome. They were really wonderful.
Oh,
cool.
Delightful. Yeah, it was kind of great. So, well, I think we can stop at here at 1975. So then we got the whole Heisei era to deal with, the Millennium era and the legendary movies. Goodness gracious, there's so many more Godzilla movies, and then we got all the non-Godzilla movies. Toho put out But before we get out of here, I want to make sure that everyone knows where they can find your stuff. So, Jedi Grand Velle, where can we
Yes.
find your podcast?
Yes, my podcast is directly on YouTube, and every so often I produce and do live or recordings of on there. It's called it's just called Jedi Grand Velle, but it's officially called Jedi Grand Velle Productions. And like I say, every blue moon you will see me pop up, and if you like my face, you will get a handful of either Takusatsu kaiju related stuff or just film related stuff. So,
All right. Fuad, tell us a little bit about your masks. Where can we find them?
Well, my company name is PolarisBreach FX, and you can look that up on Facebook and Instagram. And we specialize in making custom one-shot masks, costumes, or even props if you wish. Just send us what you're looking for, and we'll see if we can make it.
Fantastic. And Dr. Tarr, where can we find Tar and Feather Psycho Cinema and Unsane
Oh,
Radio?
same place we find you.
Oh,
yeah.
hey, isn't that nice how it
Unsane
works out?
Radio, yes.
Quinky dink.
Yeah.
And Tar and Feather Psycho Cinema.com. Tar and
Yeah,
Feather.
we're all over the place. Yeah.
Yes, on YouTube. Tar and Feather now
On the
has
YouTube, we're on the
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yes, and Tar and Feather does a particularly grand job of doing skewering Monster Party Beach. So if you get a chance to go check it out, if it's out there, it is
Skewering?
well worth the watch. Oh, it's so funny. It's so good. So, all right, guys, thank you again for spending another hour.
This is Doug Helvering, and you have been listening to Heavy Metal Horror, the best podcast that you've never heard before.